Welcome back, viewers. We are cutting away straight to these very important images that we are tracking of the Prime Minister meeting the Egyptian President El-Sisi and, of course, him being received at the presidential palace as per the itinerary. But this was, in fact, the most important part of the visit, where we will see very strategic MOUs that will also be signed after the closed-door meeting the Prime Minister is going to have with the ministers there as well. And, of course, we have seen how the Prime Minister had arrived in Cairo. And, of course, this is the day 2 of his visit. Earlier, of course, he was visiting the mosque and then the war cemetery. And now, finally, at the presidential palace, we are looking at the first visit of the Indian Prime Minister meeting with the president there in Egypt. And, of course, we were also being told as to how the MOUs are also going to be signed between the two countries as far as this visit of the Prime Minister is also concerned. We are looking at these images from inside of the presidential palace of the Prime Minister being received by the President El-Sisi. And, of course, we have been tracking as far as the strategic partnership between India and Egypt is concerned, the MOUs that had been signed, even as far as defense cooperation is concerned in 2022, where Rajnath Singh had also been in Egypt and had met with his counterparts and had signed various MOUs in 22. And now, of course, we are looking at another push as far as strategic partnership between India and Egypt is concerned, and the various MOUs as far as defense cooperation is also concerned that will be signed in this visit of the Prime Minister there in Egypt. Of course, a very significant visual that we are tracking from the presidential palace, where the President El-Sisi is receiving the Prime Minister, meeting with the Indian delegation as well. And, of course, as a part of the itinerary, the Prime Minister is all set to have closed-door meetings, one-on-one meetings with the ministers there as well, the leaders there, the businessmen, industrialists as well that he has already met with. So a lot of strategic partnership MOUs that can be expected as far as this visit of the Prime Minister is concerned. A significant visit of the Prime Minister of the first time that an Indian premier reaching the African nation in the last 26 years. And, of course, we are tracking as far as the MOUs regarding green energy, IT, pharma and defense are also concerned that are already in the works. And by the end of the day, he will be meeting with the industrialists and the leadership there in Egypt to have specific conversations as far as cooperation between India and Egypt is concerned. As I mentioned, it could be as far as IT, green energy, pharma, defense. That is already in the works, and we are looking at the day 2 of the Prime Minister, the crescendo of this visit, the build-up of this entire visit that we had seen even yesterday on the day 1 of the Prime Minister having reached Egypt, how he had met with the Indian diaspora, how he had been received by the Indian diaspora, and the reception that he had been given, the feedback that he had been given about Indians, not just in India but elsewhere, where they are being given significant respect over the last several years. And, of course, the kind of strategic partnerships that India has been having, then be it the US or Egypt, because we are looking at the Prime Minister's international travel over the last several days that he had been in the US and now in Egypt once again. We are looking at meetings that the Prime Minister is going to have with the President there currently in these images that we are tracking from the presidential palace there in Egypt, with the President El-Sisi. And post this, as far as the itinerary of the Prime Minister is concerned, we've been told that he will also have strategic meetings, one-on-one meetings with the ministers there as well. In fact, I believe my colleague Samiksha is also joining us on the broadcast. Samiksha, it's over to you as we stay with these images of the Prime Minister, the crescendo of the visit of the Prime Minister as he is being received, that grand welcome that he's being given at the presidential palace, being received by the President El-Sisi. The significance of these images cannot be ignored. Isn't that right, Samiksha?
Well, that's right, Priyanka. And as we keep up with those visuals of Prime Minister Modi holding a closed-door meeting with the Egyptian president, getting details of the visit that he earlier made to that historic mosque in Cairo. And not just that, the Prime Minister even paid his tributes to the fallen soldiers. This memorial that commemorates nearly 4,000 Indian soldiers who died fighting in Egypt and Palestine in the First World War. The Prime Minister there who paid homage to the fallen soldiers. And as we speak, we're getting visuals of Prime Minister Modi, who's seen with the Egyptian president. Now remember, it was upon the invite of the Egyptian president that Prime Minister is on a two-day visit to the country. And note that the Egyptian president has in the past been the guest as well at Republic Day celebrations in India. So tracking closely all those details coming from Egypt, as it's the final leg of Prime Minister's visit to Egypt.